Oh, okay.
Probably that right there.
Lovely. Hi, how are you?
I have no idea, but I had a very long call. Burning all of that.
Good evening, everyone. The regular meeting of the South San Antonio Independent School District Board of Trustees will come to order. Today is November 20th, 2019, and the time is 6 p.m. Roll call, please, Michelle.
Mr. Kevin Rasha,
Present.
Mr. Homer Flores,
Here.
Ms. Shirley Ibarra Peña, Mrs. Connie Prado,
Present.
Mr. Gilbert Rodriguez, Mrs. Stacy E. Alderete. Present.
Thank you. At this time, could we all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, the text of pledge, a prayer, and our call to action. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Please bow your head in prayer. As we begin this meeting, Lord, we want to give honor to you. Thank you, God, for the time we have today to discuss issues and make decisions. May you bless each person who has taken the time to gather here today, and let your hand of protection be on them throughout the holiday season and beyond. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Amen. Call to action.
All students enjoy successful education experiences, empowering them to make decisions while enriching their
Okay, first item on the agenda is citizens to be heard. Mr. Rodriguez, if you will preside over that, please.
Yes, Madam President. 3 minutes for citizens to be heard. When there's 30 seconds left, I'll hold up this card here. Give you a signal to start winding down your comments. First, citizens to be heard is Mr. Tom Cummings.
Ms. Proud, members of the board, Ms. Nick, good evening. My name is Tom Cummings and I'm representing South San AFT. First, we want to thank you for your work in establishing the South San Care Zone at Athens Elementary. Your role is important in both providing space as well as bringing many diverse groups together. And a lot of behind-the-scenes work that I know that you did and the administration did. The teachers who also work with the students and helping the students through the country also be recognized in what you've done. Second, AFT would like to ask you to consider going a step further in helping Athens become a community school in a more complete sense, one that provides functions and serves as decided by parents of the community. A community school would provide both academic and non-academic support for students. And we'll bring more information to you on that in the future. But also other schools can be recognized in South San as potential community schools. And I think many of those schools, it's essential that we do something like that. Third, AFT is proposed to both previous administrations that there be programs to recruit charter school students back to South San. It must be a personal outreach program because that's what works. One person talking to another. Unfortunately, neither of the previous superintendents were interested. Hopefully, you will take action as those students deserve quality education that South San can offer to those students. And there is a difference between a South San education and a charter education. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cummings. Madam President, that concludes our citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Next item on the agenda is our recognitions, and we have two. Our first recognition is the recognition of business/community partners, scholarships, donors, and Ms. Sendejo.
Yes. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and everyone that's here today. It's great to see so many familiar faces. We are excited to celebrate and recognize the support to all our students and many students to come. We are proud and we welcome you this evening. At this time, I'd like to call Ms. Jennifer Collier over to our podium to begin our recognition process. And Mr. Gallardo, welcome, sir.
Yes, members of the board, if you could please sit down along with the superintendent as we recognize some of our business community partners who have contributed to our student scholarships. And who is better than to recognize them than our lead counselor, Mr. Charlie Yaddo.
Good evening, Madam President, Mr. Dejo, and members of the board. Tonight, we would like to acknowledge our community partners who help give us and our students the best opportunity for post-secondary advancement. We appreciate and thank you for your contribution to the South San ISD family. We would like to first recognize Don Pedro Mexican Restaurant. Last year, they offered two $1,000 scholarships to our graduating seniors. On behalf of Don Pedro, Marcos Sepulveda, please accept the certificate of appreciation as well as this gift.
1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, for over 10 years, the Alamo Masonic Lodge, Meribu Lamar, has awarded 3 students approximately $600 each in scholarships. In addition to the scholarships, they also provide Christmas baskets for 12 of our families. These baskets include food and a gift card that can be used for clothing. Representing the Alamo Lodge are Ed O'Banion, Master Tony Kimball, Senior Warden Andrew Anderson, and Past Master Red Loman.
Thank you so much.
Please, Jordan, you can squeeze everyone in here.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Finally, Bill Miller Barbecue has offered 2 $1,000 scholarships last year to our graduating seniors. I'm not sure if they're here, but representing Bill Miller's was Area Director Linda Duran, and if she's here, please accept the certificate of appreciation and this gift as well. Not sure that they've made it yet. We'll do it. Again, thank you for your contributions to our South Bend ISD students.
Yes.
Thank you. Next recognition is the Blue Santa Parade invitation to Board of Trustees and Community. Ms. Alejo.
Hi, Mrs. Collier here. We're looking for Blue Santa.
So
What are you excited for?
I would think Blue Santa is not delivering presents today. Because he's a little late, he is walking up the ramp as I talk. Trying to drag it out.
Well, Mrs. Collier, I'm not sure if you want to just share the background of Blue Santa for us as we wait for Blue Santa to open.
This is a huge event that is in our community. South Bend takes part every year, and we're planning on doing the same thing, having all of our students and many of our groups from all of our schools participate, as well as our board members. It's going to be an exciting event. I am proud to say, I'm going to leave it for Blue Santa, that one of our students, their drawing was selected as a third prize winner. And that person will be able to ride Blue Santa during the parade. That's coming up in just a few minutes. But we're so excited. We've got a whole lot planned. I think you're really going to love it.
Yes. I do believe that we'll have our tents available for that evening to just share out information of our campuses and all the great, there he is!
Oh, now I'm on the spotlight, right?
Just a little bit.
First of all, I want to thank you all for being here, for being part of the meeting tonight. I want to thank the board members too. And the reason I'm here, I'm extending the invitation to the parade, the Blue Santa parade. So hopefully I get to see everybody out there. Ms. Jada Martinez. Hold this.
Looks like mom's excited and proud. That's wonderful.
Well, thank you so much again. Like I said, that she's all shy. She's gonna ride with me. She got the prince's voice. But again, seriously, I do want to thank you all, and taking time out of your day to come up here and also supporting the kids. That's what it's all about. We need to make sure that the kids know that not only the parents, school administration, everybody, teachers, everybody is behind them. So again, I want to thank you all.
Is the Carrillo principals here as well? Because
Yes.
is a student at Carrillo Elementary School.
All right, we'll go right here. 1, 2, 3. One more, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, my turn.
Get it.
You ready? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you again. Mr. Flores, Ms. Adete, can we get the numbers here so we're going to recognize it?
As we mentioned earlier, we're going to go and recognize Bill Miller Barbecue. Bill Miller Barbecue offered 2 $1,000 scholarships last year to our graduating seniors. Representing Bill Miller is Area Director Linda Duran. Ms. Duran, please accept the certificate of appreciation.
Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You're very welcome. You're welcome, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
Mr. Flores would like to say a few words.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to say a few words. Just about the recognition, and I authored this because I appreciate the business community. As I sat recently at Don Pedro's and I saw the plaque with our students in the restaurant displayed, it only felt right that as a district we extend gratitude and gratefulness, because small businesses or organizations like the Grand Lodge are putting something towards our students and giving. When they can keep the profits and put it back in their own business and do something, that way, or the organization can find a different project, like Grand Lodge, and do something else, or Bill Miller's, as big as they are, but they can still keep that profit. Instead, they say, I find worth in this, which is giving to kids. I found a district that we are family with, and they extend that by giving money. And so I find that to be an awesome, awesome thing, to support it, to see it through and continue it. And if it's a small ceremony like this that we can do for them in front of our district heads and leaders, I think that's tremendous. And so I just want to, I know some of them already left, but I just want to say thank you to them for believing in the kids in our district and the district as a whole, and especially the community and everyone here. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. Anyone else would like to make some comments at this time? No? Okay. Moving forward then, the next item on the agenda is the superintendent's remarks. Ms. Sendejo.
I chuckled because I may have to do some work there on getting back on the Santa list. Well, I will tell you, we have had such a productive month. As we and many of you are aware, our Care Zone ribbon cutting was this past Friday, and it was truly a day to celebrate and remember. Alongside that, we wrapped up our first common assessment rounds. There were some wonderful, productive conversations with our principal, cluster meetings, along with the principal meetings that we've had. We are fast approaching the second round, and I see some of our staff here as we prepare for those common assessments as well. Last but not least, stay tuned. I would say probably about the first week in December, we will have our South San Today news paper release, and we're excited. We're wrapping that up, and thank you to our principals as they have provided much content for the highlights and all the good that's taking place. So again, we thank each and every one of you, our board members, for the support as well, and looking forward to being back here next month with an additional update to everyone. Thank you, Mrs. Bell.
Thank you, Ms. Sendejo. Okay, before we move on to the business at hand, I would like to do our board meeting rules of decorum for the community that is present and for the staff. The board will not tolerate disruption of meeting by members of the audience or individual board members. If after at least one warning from the presiding officer, any person continues to disrupt the meeting by his or her words of actions, the presiding officer may request assistance from law enforcement officials to have the person removed from the meeting. Applause, outbursts, or demonstrations by any spectator will not be permitted during the course of the meeting. Everyone will take a seat. There will be no standing. Signs are not allowed during the proceedings. At no time during a board meeting, whether a regular or special call meeting, and whether in open or closed session, shall a board member use his or her cell phone or engage in texting. The use of phones or texting demonstrates a lack of respect for the proceeding and may, under certain circumstances, even be a violation of the Open Meetings Act. Board members will refrain from private discussions during any board meeting, whether in open or closed session. In the event of an emergency, board members will excuse themselves from the meeting to address the emergency. Thank you. Moving on to the business at hand, our first item is the consent items. Board member, we have consent items 1 through item number 9. So at this time, do I hear a motion for consent items 1 through 9?
Madam President, I move to approve.
Mr. Rodriguez has made a motion to approve consent items 1 through 9. Do I hear a second?
I will second.
Second. I have a second by Mr. Roscoe. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you very much. So, as everyone is aware, I was appointed as the Budget Committee Chairman to review last year's budget and the current year's budget. And there was a lot of work that was put into that, a lot of discussions, a lot of collaboration. With an abundance of the staff, I know that you were here, it seemed like every other day for an extraordinary amount of time. But at the end of the day, all the work that we did and that we do is to better service our kids, right? So I just wanted to, hopefully that the rest of the board members consider approving going forward. I just wanted to communicate that we've assessed the needs of the school district relative to the different functions, and I think that it's important that we are considering restoring some of this funding back into the relevant functions because it's needed. So I want to thank the superintendent and her staff and the business office for getting us to this point where we can consider this. So I hope that my colleagues will approve the consent.
Absolutely. Before I ask for a roll call or for a vote, Ms. Sendejo, what is your recommendation on consent items 1 through 9?
Mrs. Fowler, I recommend that we approve all consent agenda items 1 through 9.
Thank you, Ms. Sendejo. Therefore, at this time, all in favor of consent items 1 through 9 approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda then is the closed executive session. At this time, the board will now convene into closed session pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.076, 551.082, and 551.0821. Number 1 is discussion concerning personnel matters pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074. Number 2 is discussion with legal counsel regarding procedure, deadlines for filling trustee vacancies. Number 3 is to review applicants and/or conduct interviews and discussion concerning District 1 trustee vacancy. And number 4 is a discussion with legal counsel regarding procedures and options available for filling superintendent search position, including selection of consultants. The time is now 6:25.
Nobody needs to first?
The board will now reconvene to open session, and the time is 8:21. Okay, board members, the next item is discussion and possible action. Number one is discussion and possible action concerning closed meeting items 1 through 4. The first item is item number 3. Review applicants and or conduct interviews and discussions concerning District 1 truancy vacancy. Board members, are there any motions on this, on item number 3?
Are we going in that order?
Yes, it's number 3 and number 4. There's 2 items for action.
Okay.
Yes. Do I need to read it again?
Yes.
Okay, item number 3 is, we have discussion and possible action concerning the closed meeting items, which was number 3 and number 4. So we'll take number 3 first. Do I hear a motion?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong
Yeah.
discussion and possible action. Okay, so number 3, review applicants and or conduct interviews and discussions concerning District number 1. That's one we're taking action on.
Right.
Yes, Madam President, I have a motion. I move that we approve appoint Ms. Veronica Barba to the vacant District 1 trustee vacancy.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second by Ms. Peña. Is there any discussion? If there is none, could I have, I'm sorry.
I'd like to make a substitute motion.
Okay, Mr. Flores, go ahead.
I want a motion that we do not accept the applications, but that we continue the search for a new trustee and put it out there for applications to be accepted up until the next school board meeting.
Thank you. I have a substitute motion by Mr. Flores. Do I hear a second?
I second.
A second by Ms. Alvarez. Board members, at this time, we're going to be first voting on Mr. Flores' substitute motion. Roll call, please. Michelle.
Mr. Kevin Rasco,
No.
Mr. Homer Flores,
Yes.
Ms. Shirley Ibarra-Peña,
No.
Ms. Connie Prado,
No.
Mr. Gilbert Rodriguez,
No.
Ms. Stacy Alderete.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion passes.
The motion fails.
I'm sorry, motion fails, excuse
Now
me.
we're back to the,
So we'll go back to the main motion, and the motion was made by Mr. Rodriguez and seconded by Ms. Peña. Could I have roll call, please, Michelle?
Mr. Kevin Rasco,
Yes.
Mr. Homer Flores,
And O.
Ms. Shirley Ibarra Peña,
Yes.
Mrs. Connie Prado,
Yes,
Mr. Gilbert Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mrs. Stacy Alvarez.
No.
thank you, motion passes. Okay, second item on the closed session is discussion with legal counsel regarding procedures and options available for filling superintendent search position, including selection of consultants. Do I hear a motion for item number 4?
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Pardon?
She'd like to make a motion, but I'd just like
Okay.
clarification.
Yes,
Ms.
Ms.
Prado.
Alderete.
Ms. Prado, can I get clarification on how to record the motions, because we're taking 2 separate motions on one agenda item?
It's two agenda
the
items.
first one would be to table, the postpone indefinitely, if I can speak for Mr. Flores, to postpone the decision.
And that
motion failed.
And then the second
And the
motion,
second one was to
Mr.
appoint,
Rodriguez. Ms. Barber.
Okay, but the item is to vote on items 1 through 4. So now we're taking another vote?
Yes, because
Bringing it
there's
up.
actually 2 action items, number 3 and number 4.
Okay,
So now we're acting on number 4, and Ms. Alderete has a motion.
okay.
Go ahead, Ms. Alderete.
I motion to direct legal counsel to post the job opening of superintendent of schools.
Have a motion by Ms. Alderete. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Peña. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is the oath of office for a single member District 1. Could we please have Ms. Barbara, is she still here? Mr. Hanlon, would you see if Ms. Barbara is still here? So she can give her oath of office. Board members, let's go ahead and take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back so that everybody can stretch until we see if Ms. Barbara is here or not.
He's over there. She's on her way.
Ms. Barbara, if you'll come forward, please. Michelle is going to give you your oath of office. Board members, at this time, we will reconvene into open session. The time is 8:24. 8:28.
Just the other office, she has to sign it. She has to read it. I have a look at the pen.
In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, I, Veronica Barber, do solemnly swear that I am faithful, executed, and duties of the office of South San ISD School District Trustee, District 1 of the state of Texas, and will do the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and to this state, so help me God.
Okay.
Ms. Barber.
Ms. Barber, okay. Can we sign your document? Just sign here? Yes, sir.
Ms. Barber, welcome to South San District Board of Trustees. Congratulations on your appointment. We look forward to working with you. And if you'd like to say anything, you're welcome to.
I'm nervous, I don't know what to say.
Okay, we'll save your comments for the next meeting. Okay. All right, thank you. Board members, going on with the business at hand, the next item on the agenda is item number 3, and that is the reorganization of board officers pursuant to district policy BDAA local, and this was requested by Mr. Flores. So I'll refer this to Mr. Flores.
Thank you, Madam President. I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to name a 7th member tonight, but obviously we have. And so along those lines, I put this as a provision that hopefully we brings something to happen right here that reflects change. A year ago, we had elections and the community expressed change with new board members, overwhelmingly 4 new ones. And I felt that after a year, that it would be suitable to visit this and hopefully see that we can reflect that change. And so I think it's needed. I think it's something that the district could be refreshed with. And so that's what I want to say before I make a motion.
Okay. So let me ask, therefore, at this time, do I hear a motion on item number 3?
I want to make a motion.
Yes, Mr.
I motion that we appoint new officers and that Gilbert Rodriguez be named president, that Stacy Rodriguez be named, Stacy, that's right, be named vice president, and Kevin Roscoe be named secretary.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Flores. Do I hear a second?
I second.
I have a second by Ms. Alvarez. Is there a discussion?
Yes, Ms. Prado, I would.
Yes, Mr. Rodriguez.
Make some comments. First of all, I appreciate the confidence in the nomination by Mr. Flores. You know, it's, I agree with Mr. Flores' sentiment. It's been a year since we've been on the job up here, right? It feels like 10. And we did a lot of effort into campaigning and advocating on change, and I think that we've seized that opportunity and we've gained an abundance of momentum in doing so. You know, as appreciative I am of the nomination, I'm of the opinion, as we sit here today, that we need to not make any changes right now. I think that we need to stay on the momentum that we've started and keep riding the wave, so to speak, for lack of a better choice of words. You know, we all know that we don't get paid for any of this, but to me, it's my second full-time job. It's constantly on my mind, and I'm always thinking of ways that we can reflect positive change, put our kids in a better position to be successful, give the administration the resources that they need. It's constant with me. It never goes away. And I also take pride in the fact, in my ability to zoom out and look at the big picture. Yes, we have items on the agenda that we need to zero in on and focus, but my vision is always for the district as a whole. I'm very passionate about that, and I always will be. So, Mr. Flores, I appreciate the nomination, sir. I'm glad that he feels that I'm capable. I feel that I'm capable. I have confidence in myself. But I'm of the position right now, as we sit here today, that we seize the momentum that we've begun and not make any changes to our elected board officers at this time.
Mr. Rodriguez, is that as a motion, or is that just a discussion, or?
That was my discussion.
Okay. Any other discussion on this item?
Sure. I would like to also thank Trustee Flores for his vote of confidence, but I will also do the sentiment that Mr. Rodriguez has, but maybe a little more directly. I am in my second board meeting and brand new baby bird to the board here, maybe, and I still don't know what I don't know. And I think that I would be much more comfortable with something like that after having served for a while. And I would defer to the expertise for the board members who have been on here longer for officer positions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Roscoe. Any other discussion on this item? No? Okay. Well, we have a motion on the floor by Mr. Flores, seconded by Ms. Alderete. Mr. O'Hanlon, since Mr. Roscoe and Mr. Rodriguez have declined, do we still vote on the motion?
It's up to the sponsor of the motion. You want to?
Well, I think it should go on the record.
Okay.
I think it should go on the record.
Okay, well, we'll vote on the motion, although for the record, let it reflect that Mr. Rodriguez has deferred his recommendation, and so has Mr. Roscoe. So at this time, could we have roll call, please, Michelle?
Yeah. Ms. Veronica Barba?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Kevin Rasco?
No.
Mr. Homer Flores?
Yes.
Ms. Shirley Ibarra Peña?
No.
Ms. Connie Prado?
No.
Mr. Gilbert Rodriguez?
No.
Ms. Stacy Alderete?
Yes. Motion failed. Thank you. Okay, moving on, then we'll move on to item number 4, which is to approve the 2019-2020 District Improvement Plan and Campus Improvement Plan. Ms. Sendejo.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, as you have had the opportunity to review the district improvement plans, the campus improvement plans, and have had time to process and ask some questions overall, it is my recommendation that we approve the district improvement plan, campus improvement plans, as we are aware that we may come back with this ongoing document because of the fact that there are specific targets that we've accomplished, and we will need to come back and make some adjustments as soon as we know what our next couple of months meetings and targets are. At this time, we'd like to entertain any questions prior to Mrs. Barrett.
Any questions for Ms. Sendejo or her staff on the campus employment plans or districts? No? If none, Ms. Sendejo, your recommendation then is to approve this item?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we have a recommendation by Ms. Sendejo. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Rodriguez. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Second by Ms. Alderete. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, next is presentation reports. Number one is our monthly financial statements for the month ending October 2019. Ms. Sendejo.
Yes, ma'am. Again, Mrs. Prado, members of the board, as you have had some time as well, we do have our monthly budget report. In reviewing, you will see that the actuals are at about 14 million and the actual expenses are at about 10.5. It does share with you all the surplus. As you know that we've expended about 16%, and we see a few of the functions above. And that is something that we know that has occurred because of the transition from one school year to the other, and what we have, what adjustments we've made. So please understand that you do see the differences on those expended percentages. However, we do anticipate that in the coming months, you'll see the balance come through on the expended percentage there for you. You also are aware and see the estimated fund balance as well. I just want to note one more time that year to date, we're about 10.5 million, and we do still see us in the black there. But coming here soon, we'll see some adjustments moving forward.
Thank you, Ms. Sendejo. Board members, any questions?
I don't have any questions, Madam President. I just have a comment.
Yes, Mr. Rodriguez.
I think that this is phenomenal. You know, it just speaks to the work of the superintendent and her staff, the business office, Mo Casey and Associates. You know, a handful of months ago, we were seeing a bunch of red on here, and now I hear the word surplus coming from our superintendent, and that just makes me jump for joy. So thank you, Ms. Neal, and thank you to the administration.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. I do want to make a comment because I did not reference the food service fund, and you'll see just about the same, you'll see the surplus there, and then of course in the debt service fund, our big payments are February and August. We just went through one, so we will not see anything until the new year. And lastly, as you know, you have seen some transformations in our cafeterias there. We can gladly say we are above and beyond, so there are some opportunities there as well that are coming with our food service department and our cafeterias. So we're looking forward to your visits there and what some of those transformations and what's to come with this particular additional potential funds there.
Thank you, Ms. Sendejo. Okay, board members, the next item is an oral report about GED program, and this is requested by Ms. Alderete. Ms. Sendejo.
Yes. Mrs. Alderete, Mrs. Prado, members of the board, again, Mrs. Alderete had previously requested an oral report on our adult education program, and we do have some wonderful slides. I know that I see Dr. Sandoval, I don't see Ms. Vieira, but many endless hours and efforts that have been put in place for this program. As you can see in the first slide, we do have our partnership with the Education Service Center Region 20 since 2011. We offer two strands that we are proud to share, that this past Monday we opened the doors there at our care zone as well. I will tell you that both the adult basic education, adult secondary education, and the high school equivalency classes that are led by Dr. Sandoval have been phenomenal in supporting our community. Alongside that, the English as a second language classes led by Ms. Lupe Sandoval, Ms. Lupe Vieira, from what I know. And then I know that our teacher there has been phenomenal. I've heard even Mrs. Alderete's story and validation for us and the many successes there. We are looking at officially opening the doors of the Care Zone on December 2nd. A few technicalities, but looking so much more promising than where we are. So we're excited that we were able to kind of almost give it a soft opening just because of our program. And she's not here. I believe she stepped out, but Ms. Sandoval over at Carrillo has been phenomenal. Yes. She's been phenomenal in housing both programs, Dr. Sandoval and Ms. Vieira, these past few months. So we couldn't have done it with a collaborative effort. And Ms. Sandoval over at Carrillo has been extremely generous and has shared very positive words about both of our team leads there and the support that has gone on through the time of the transition into the Care Zone. So we appreciate that. You also have additional information for our classes. As we know, they are free Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. We do currently have about 25 students in and out throughout the week as well. Alongside that, we do have our English as a second language classes as well, Mondays and Wednesdays, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and there's about 80 students throughout the week. We wanted to have some pictures, so we're working with Dr. Sandoval to capture some of those, and we'll get those out on the weekly for you all as well. I do see Ms. Orozco here, and Dr. Sandoval over there as well. Good to see you, ma'am. Any other further questions, and I'll turn it over back to you,
Thank you.
Mrs. Prado.
Any questions for Ms. Sandoval?
I'm not going to take long because it's late already. But now, first and foremost, I would like to thank Dr. Sandoval for the many, many years. I believe in all the time I've been here, we've only had Ms. Prado, I believe you were the one on, it was what, in 2011, that you pushed really, really hard to get this program in here and to get it off the ground. But I don't think we've ever had a presentation. As a board member, I haven't seen one. And then further down as a community member, I hadn't seen one. So I think it's very important because we have a lot of kids in our area who didn't finish school. We have a lot of parents in our area who didn't finish school. And I think that also getting the word out that we have this program, not just online, but the same way we're doing everything else with the kids, with the Care Zone, everything that we're doing for every other program, I think this needs to be added to it because it makes a major difference when you give that strength to somebody. And you know, I'm a testament to that. And to be able to take that program and they give you the resources to take the test. The tests are very expensive, $200, almost $300. So I would like to actually thank you, Dr. Sandoval, for all of your hard work. You and Lupe are workhorses. You go above and beyond, and I don't think you've ever been thanked officially. I know Ms. Prado's been very grateful for you for many years, but I want you to know that we really, really, really appreciate what you do in this district, you and your sister. Thank you so much. Thank you. And just make sure that they have everything they need.
Yes, ma'am. Well, and you shared it best, Mrs. Alderete, just a full wraparound service and to be able to provide in-house that as well. I know that Dr. Sandoval and Mrs. Orozco and the teams have had conversations about coming back at the end of the year to give you some other statistics and just share where we are. And you're right, just as we have evaluation evaluations to all our programs, definitely is something, so we appreciate you taking the time to wanting to recognize that and be here before you and everyone else.
And we have a lot of kids who just don't fit in the classroom setting. And this is perfect. Yes, it's perfect. So I'm excited. And if there's any more information than what they've given us, it'd be great to have. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Flores.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I hope Ms. Sandoval just so, but Mr. Flores.
I just want to go on record and say thank you very much for all the hard work that you do and the perseverance of you and your team. And I'm glad that it's part of that Care Zone hub in there because of the wraparound services and that it has its own light shining on that program. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. May I?
And no, because I'm going to speak first. But I would like you to come to the podium and talk about it, please.
Absolutely, yes.
If It's okay.
Absolutely. No, not a problem. It's great to see you here. I know that Dr. Sandoval is always here to support. Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Sandoval, I don't expect you to report anything.
But she's prepared because
I know
that's who she is. I already know that.
I don't have you there to give us a report. I have you there to be recognized because it was through yours and Lupita's efforts that we started off with one adult community center, and that was at Dwight Middle School. And you all worked hard to get it open. Everybody went in there and started painting and getting everything done and moved out all the furniture from there. And then with one came a second, which is the one here. It was located here at Ray Ellison Drive because what was good for one side of the district was good for the other. And they were both very well received by the community, and they appreciated the fact that the people didn't have to drive so far to take GED classes. And I think at one point we were even thinking of computer classes to be offered to the community. My vision is that we expand this, because I know that Northeast has an awesome adult education program where they offer knitting, crocheting, everything you can think of. So, exactly. So I think if we can ever expand it, I know right now we're limited with space. We have a lot of buildings here that are still not being used.
That's right.
So if we ever expand the programs, we can move you again. If we needed to.
The GED itself will welcome it.
Absolutely, and I know that under your leadership and Ms. Vieras as well, that it will be successful because it was because of your hard work and day and night coming in, and I know that you work till midnight sometimes that you can. And you're a hard worker. You're an example to all the employees of this district of what it should be and what hard work is. And we truly do appreciate it. But you can give a report next time.
I have a thank you that I want to say.
Oh,
Wait,
I think everyone wants to thank you, Dr. Sandoval.
Yeah, if I could be recognized as
Sure,
Dr. Sandoval, I think that you're due the opportunity to stand there and be receptive to the kudos that we're giving you, because I'm a firm believer, being a manager of employees, that when you recognize and you elevate and you put resources into your own employees, they're going to be proud to do the work and they're going to want to do more. I think that that's important. Aside from the tremendous work that you've done with you and your team to this point, because this is truly, like you said, this is a truly wraparound services. We don't give up on our community, right? It's not where you start, it's where you finish. And that's a true testament to that program, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Sandoval.
Can I say real fast?
Thank you. Just yes, go
Just
ahead.
thank you, I wrote it down. I am a migrant worker and a product of South San.
Yes, you are.
Okay. So I wanted to say good evening, Ms. Prado, Board President, Mr. Rodriguez, Vice President, Ms. Shirley Peña, Secretary, Ms. Isabel, Board Member Trustee, Mr. Homer Flores, Board Member Trustee, Mr. Rasto, Board Member Trustee, Ms. Veronica Barba, welcome, Board Member Trustee, and Ms. Sendejo, Interim Superintendent, Mr. Kevin O'Hanlon, Legal Counsel, and Ms. Orozco. First of all, let me say thank you to each one of you for your support, for the strong support for these families, because they need it. Ms. Prado brought it in with her able leadership in 2011-12, who requested it, initiated it, and then Stacy Alderete came along and was a student in the program, and they were going to remove it, and they both fought real hard. So let's give these two ladies, who you don't get paid a lot of tell you, we really, this is not nonsense and talking and butter you up first. The parents who did not make it at Southside High School because pregnancy, we have felonies, they do home invasions and drugs and truancy disciplinary. They didn't make it, but now they're here. So you all are affording them this opportunity. Thirdly, this thing, the high school students who are being bullied and they drop out, they have mental health problems, they're in our program now, and you all are providing for these community people, parents that need the help. You're affording them a place to go, a safe haven, and it's free, and they're getting their high school diploma. So this is not Region 20 was here today, Ms. Mary Rose Trinidad, and I'm sorry to say that way you need to meet her. This is not about Region 20, she said, tell them. It's not about Region 20, because they're the one that funds it, $25 an hour. And in their folder, you have the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding there. It's about helping the South San and the community to achieve their dreams, to get a high school diploma, and to help those high school kids. And she said to tell you that maybe in your own homes and in your families, you might have someone that needs GED and a diploma, and they come here. I pay for the testing for them, and we practice at computer lab and so forth. So I want to thank you. Okay, Ms. Bella, I didn't make a little. And I want to say, this is on the record, I've been years of working at TEA and presenting to board and so forth. For the record, nobody told me to do those folders, but Dr.
She knows, right? Thank you, Dr. Sandoval.
Right, Kevin? Dr. Bill Kirby, when we presented at State Board, you never know what the 15 State Board members are going to ask you. So you always prepare and have handouts. So you've got registration letters, the second letter that goes out, and so you've got, we are 15 sites, Mr. Devon, I just found out, Southside ISD has it. Region 20 gives the Texas Workforce Commission grant and has 15 districts, and the Alamo Heights students leave over there and come here at night for our community program because it's better, it's great. And Region 20 says we're number one, but South San's good.
Thank you, Ms. Sandoval.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along, our next item is a presentation of bilingual program evaluation. Ms. Sendejo. Carrie, I'm sorry, did you want to say something, Ms. Sendejo? All right,
Wonderful. Dr. Sandoval, I appreciate everything that you do for the school. You're a very dedicated, hard worker. You and Ms. Viera, and I know Ms. Viera from high school.
From high school.
Yes, and I thank you for everything you do, what you do for our students, the ones in the GED classes. And I mean, I appreciate everything. You're very good. It's overwhelming because of what you do for our children, you know, with your own, you know, kindness, what you do. And I want to thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right, Ms. Sendejo.
Yes, ma'am.
Our next presentation is our bilingual program evaluation. If you can bear with us for a few minutes, I know Mr. Abundes and Ms. Lorraine De Leon are here as well to provide us. We do have an annual evaluation to present and to share just really the status and what's to come overall with our bilingual program. So at this time, I'd like to welcome both Mr. Abundes and Ms. De Leon.
Good evening, Ms. Browder and fellow board members, Ms. Sendejo. So basically, this is something we have to do every year. It's kind of like, it's an evaluation, but also just kind of status of where we're at with our bilingual program. And to be honest with you, this report should be presented to you guys either in September or October. So next year, when I present this, it will be either in September and October. And that's why you notice a lot of the data in here is not from this year, but from the year before. Because when you report out in September, taper's not out yet, so you're still using data from 2 years back, and that's why most of this data is from 2 years ago. So basically, the status of us for last year is that's the first slide is pretty much a little bit of our data for our students. You know, we have last year we had about 1,568 students in the program. Out of the 8,900 that we had as a district, as you can see, that's 16% of our district population. Statewide, most districts average about 18%. And out of those 1,500, 885 are elementary level bilingual, and then of course 601 are English as a second language, which are secondary campuses. And then we have 82 students that are we provide those services to the demand. Next page, as you know from our, especially for the newer board members, so SALSAN is a late exit model in our bilingual program in our elementary. So basically that means we want them to learn English, Spanish first and then transition them to English. So basically it's 90%, 10%, 90% Spanish, 10% English. And by fifth grade, it's completely the opposite. It's 90% English, 10% Spanish. But I would say this, that I think Mrs. Neal hopefully shared this with, I think she has. So we're looking for next year possibly, and hopefully in the December board meeting, I'll have some type of presentation that we're hoping to maybe next year for pre-K and kinder move to a dual language model. And there's many, many reasons why we should be moving to that model. And like I said, in the December board meeting, I'll have more information for you. But that's the model we have right now currently in our elementary schools. And in our secondary school, we have the pull-out model, which pretty much means we have a certified ESL teacher in language arts working with our students. And what we do for our other core subjects, we provide us children instruction for them. But the main teacher is an ESL teacher, and they provide instruction through the English language arts. Okay. And this is the only one that has this past year. But you're gonna, all the other slides are from 2 years ago. Okay, this information was gathered from one of the websites that parents have access to. That's from the TexasSchools.gov website. And that's why this is the only slide for that. So it's just very general. It kind of shows how we did with our LEP students as a district compared to the state. And then it broke it down by subject. As overall, we had 59% of our students passing star, our EL students, and then of course as a district we were at 66%. And then as a state, the state had a 78 passing rate. This is for all subjects. That's including the reading, math, writing, science, and social studies. As I move on to the next slide, now we're going back to 2 years ago. This is a little bit more specific to see how we're doing compared to the district, to the Region 20, and to the state. So if you look at the last few bars, that's how we did the last in 2016, 17, and 17, 18. We did go up 1% with all tests, and you can see how we did compared to the district. So our ELs are pretty much at the district level, but as you can see, we definitely have work compared to Region 20 and the state. That's for all tests. But now if we look at the next one, which is now just reading, again, our ELs are pretty much at level with our district, with the district students. But again, we need improvement in comparison to Region 20 and the state level tests. Then the next slide is our writing scores. Again, actually, if you notice our writing, our EL did better in writing than the district level. And not too far off Region 20 and a little bit away from our state. So definitely our writing last year, not last year, 2 years ago, we did well compared to the district and of course, and to Region 20. Okay. In mathematics, again, it's another subject that our ELs always do well, even when I was still a principal and a teacher. Our ELs, as you can see, did a little bit better than the district average, and not too far from Region 20 as well. And of course, we need more compared to the state average. And in science, that's something again, we're not above the district average, but we're kind of close to the district average, 62 and 67. A little bit of work to get to the region average, and of course, a ways to get to the state average of 80%. In social studies, if you notice there was a 10% increase from 16-17 to 17-18, we're going to be 3% to 63% again. We still have to work on that because if you can see that compared to the district average, we're about 9% lower than that. And of course, we still have to work to get to where Region 20 and the state average is at. So that's STAR data. So now I'm going to move to TELPAS real quick. And for the new board members, TELPAS is divided into 2 parts. Students are either classified as beginning, intermediate, advanced, and advanced high. And they're going to, and just real quick, the only way they can not become considered English language arts, English learners, is they have to score advanced high in TELPAS and pass the reading STAR test, or in high school, their English 1 test. So that's why this test is important. They have to be able to reach advanced high and pass the STAR test to not be considered EL anymore. Okay. So this is actually from last year. This is from 1819. So the STAR data was from 2 years ago. We talked about this from last year. So what this is telling us is the percentage of students that was able to get 1 year progress. So if I come back to this, so that's telling us that we had 29% of our students move 1 level up, which means they went either from beginning to intermediate, intermediate to advanced, or advanced to advanced high. We had 29%, so 29% of our students be able to accomplish that. And then the 2.84% means we had 2.8% of our students that went from beginning to advanced, or intermediate to advanced high, or advanced to exit. Okay. And then the last one is 0.09, so 0.09%. That's probably one student that went up three levels. So that's from beginning to advanced high, or from intermediate to exit. Okay. Any questions on this particular? Because this is probably one of the ones that kind of sticks out a little bit. Any questions on this slide?
For Mr. Abundis on these slides?
Sure. So on this slide, what we're saying is 2/3 of students don't progress a level.
That is correct.
Any other questions on this slide?
And we're gonna discuss in a little bit in one of the further slides on how we're gonna kind of address
Is that when we talk about the dual language model?
That's gonna be one of the things. Because you're new to the district. We're actually late exit, Mr. Roscoe, but we went to late exit just like about 4 years ago. We were an early exit model. And when I present next month the different models, you're going to see that the early exit model was the worst one to be part of.
Yeah, both the late and early exits are both efficiency models. It's the dual language that is an enrichment model that changes
Okay,
things.
that's better, sir. Okay, that's better for next month. But you guys, but I think that's part of it, but then there's some other things as well, which we'll discuss in a minute. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm passionate about that. I'm actually a dual language trainer, so Gomez and Gomez, so, yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Abundis.
So this is how our students felt last year. So we have 13% of our students in beginning, 34% of our students in intermediate, 39% in advanced, and about almost 12% of our students are at advanced high. So those 12% students, unfortunately, some of those probably didn't pass the STAR test or the ELC, and that's why they're still classified EL, because they couldn't pass the STAR test. So that's something we'll be addressing as well. Okay.
Mr. Abundis, I have a question. Do they take the STAR test in Spanish or in English?
And well, secondary has to be in English, and in elementary, it depends on their the proficiency, but also teacher input, and also their the LPAC committee. The LPAC committee kind of decides on that.
Madam President, I have a question.
Yes.
How long have we been at these percentages? What are we comparing to? Do we have comparison from last time around? Like, where were we then as opposed to now?
With which data tell us, or which?
The one before this.
Mrs. Avedra, you had the 2-year comparable
Oh,
on the slide, yes, ma'am.
I missed it.
And my other something that we can consider once we come back to give you the last year in comparison to also taper, so we'll follow up with that information that Mr. Abundis mentioned.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's the data part. So let me kind of show that Mr. Vasquez made a great comment about that means 2/3 of our students did not make progress, at least one progress, right? Well, a lot of it had to do, because if you remember, Mr. Vasquez, the testing changed 2 years ago. It's online now. And one of the things is, it's a lesson learned, you can't test not even 10 kids in the same room when you do the TOEFL. Because part of it, you're out there speaking to the mic. And even when you have 10 kids, some kids kind of get nervous because there's 10 kids and you have to speak in and listen to the mic and then speak into the mic. in the computer recording office, and then that's how it's scored. So we kind of learned that from this past year that that's not a good practice. So when we talk to our bilingual teachers and our principals and the assistants is, if necessary, we might have to extend that testing period to have smaller groups. Instead of 10, 20, maybe just 2, 3, and in some cases, something I was sharing with Priscilla today, if that student is that shy that he or she won't speak into the mic, then that student might have to be testing on their own.
And so another change that happened is there's a heavier weighting on the writing portion. So what are we doing specifically to bolster students' writing skills so that they, since that's an equal weight now, and it used to be a smaller component?
So one of the things, I'll touch on that in a minute, but let me go back to this.
I'll wait if you get to it.
So one of the things we're doing with the speaking part is Brad Cloud, who's our technology media specialist. I don't know if y'all met Mr. Cloud before. So he's doing a lot of trainings with our teachers right now to work with that particular skill. So there's 2 apps that he introduced to them, which were Seesaw and Adobe Spark Video. So that's going to help our students. So that's something that PD wasn't provided to the teachers previously, but that's something that we're making a big push for. We actually did a big push already earlier in the year. And when we had our bilingual symposium, our special programs, because we included special ed this year, when we had our special program symposium earlier last month, that was something that Brad Cloud also presented. So he presented early on this week, in August, then he followed up again during that symposium. And we knew that was a big need for us. So, and then on top of that, Amy Shields, who is our teaching and learning, and I know you, she's presented many times through our Imagine Learning, through one of their components. They're also working on that speaking and listening and writing components to include that with their readers workshop. So using Imagine Learning, we're not only using speaking, but we're also working on the writing. So that's one of the things we're doing. We're using our Imagine Learning in conjunction with our readers workshop, Mr. Nebraska, to improve our writing scores. Not discussing other things, but that was the main things on this particular slide.
Just real briefly, do we have disaggregated the reading, listening, writing sub-scores for the students on the whole in the district? Is that something you can disaggregate out? What level of proficiency are they for reading, for writing, for speaking?
That's something that the facilitators do with the principals and the teachers. That's something I believe was done earlier in August. That when we're doing our daily meetings, that's something that we look into, yes.
I do want to add also, Mr. Brasco, in our common assessment data, we also provide the specifics of the special programs and how our ELs are comparing to our traditional and of course, our special education and such, so we can make the adjustments that need to be made with the instructional coaches or any support coming from the district alongside the principals as instructional leaders and lead teachers at each of the campuses.
So just moving on, so then the last part is just, we want to discuss the waivers. So this is how many waivers that we submitted to the state at each of the grade levels from in elementary. As you can see, in pre-K we had none, kinder we have one, 2nd grade we have one waiver, 5th grade we have one. Special ed was 3, but I believe that 3 was down to 2. One of the things that we're trying to do as a department for this year, and I'll discuss it further and at the end when we're talking about bullets, is that we're trying to get as many ESL certified teachers, get the supplement. So we did a big push early in August to not just get ESL teachers, the language arts teachers to get certified. We opened this up to special ed, even some in the core subject teachers as well. So I know there was several special ed teachers, especially the life skills, because even the life skills students, if they have an EL, in English language learner, that teacher also has to have the ESL supplement. So we found out that there was some gaps here and there, so we encouraged the special ed teachers to also come into the trainings and then take the test. And that's why this year when I said the bilingual symposium, then I stopped myself because this year we changed it up. We included special ed as well. And we call it just a special programs symposium because we knew the importance of that. But I think that 3 really took, and I believe one high school teacher took a test and she did pass. Okay. So that's
Mr.
how many
Ruiz, I have
waivers.
a question.
Yes.
On the, hopefully if we transition to new language at the elementary level, what certifications are required?
Well, my understanding is the same thing, right? It's the same ones, yes.
Do we reimburse teachers who successfully pass the exam for the fees?
We reimburse the fee and to get the certification, yes. And then at the secondary level, we have a total of 13 teachers with working, 10 in the middle schools, 2 at the high school, and 1 special, and again, that's the life skills teacher. And the reason we have 10 again in the middle school is something that I'm working with Ms. Mills. A lot of it has to do with their academies. So when they went from 6 to 7, some of those, we had English language learners in those academies. So instead of taking the English with their ESL teacher, they're over here. So we're working on getting those teachers certified this year. So next year, those numbers will be a lot less. And another thing I was sharing with Ms. Bill is, so next year we move up to the 8th grade. So when she hires those English language arts teacher, one of the stipulations we're going to put on those teachers is they have to get certified by that year. So like that, we don't have to ask for orders for them.
So in a district not too near, not too far away, something that we did is turn this into a leadership issue where we had administration get their ESL certification or the bilingual certification, and then encourage the teachers. Is there any possibility of having campus administration lead that charge, maybe take groups of teachers to some of the trainings that are offered at Region 20 or any other areas to make sure we're not having waivers, because for teachers to really understand what these students' specific needs are goes a long way to having better classrooms for them.
So actually in July, Mr. Roscoe, we met with all the 4 middle school principals and kind of, we met with the middle school principals to kind of address that issue. So we looked at, some of them had their schedules ready by then, but some of them didn't because there was a lot of moving going on. So we were trying to, and we're going to do it for this year for sure. So we're looking at the master schedule and see where we need ESL teachers certified, and then through the leadership of the principals, bringing those teachers in and getting them the training so they get certified. So it's definitely something that's kind of in the radar for us.
Madam President, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So does that mean that those children are not being serviced?
No. So even though we get a waiver, you still have to do, there's still requirements you have to do. So you still have to provide certain professional development to them throughout the school year. You just can't say waiver and then that's it. The state still requires you to do several professional developments throughout the year. And I'm going to kind of touch on it in one of the slides further down.
And do we have the right experienced teacher required in the room for those students? How would I put it? Wording it wrong?
It varies, Mrs. Rodriguez, so, I mean, just from personal experience. Yes, no, perfect, no, it's a valid question. It varies because there are times where teachers want to challenge the test, and that's okay. That doesn't mean you have the pedagogy and the preparation behind that, and it's up to us and our responsibility to get them that appropriate professional development to increase their skill set to provide the services and support. The state allows us the waiver, that opportunity to find the balance and still provide them that professional development and training that they need to be able to service our students. Because if not, we would be out of compliance.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that those kids are getting what they need, and what they need no matter where we're at with whatever situations.
Definitely.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
then the cool thing is we're also part of the Region 20 pilot for the framework. I think a month ago we have 2 teachers actually working directly with Region 20, and they're actually brand new teachers. So it was a perfect match. So they're helping Region 20 create a framework so that we can follow for next year. And then what else? So this is just putting it all together, I guess. So we have, again, 6 elementary waivers, 11 at the middle schools, 2 at the high school, for a total of 19 waivers. Compared to last year we had a total of 33 waivers, and this year we only have 19. And as you can see in the middle column, the cool thing is last year we had one elementary teacher that was able to pass their test. We have 4 middle school teachers. And actually some of Those 4, not all of them were last year, some of those were like in July and August when we came back, and then none at the high school. And although we are meeting with the high school this week, and we want to have more for next year, because the high school is just, we need more than just the 4 that we have. So we're definitely meeting with Dr. Hernandez and his team to do some special trainings just for them, Mr. Roscoe, just for the high school teachers, so they can get ready for that test, train up for the test, and then hopefully pass the test. And this is some of the things we're kind of doing throughout the department. And I kind of touched on a lot of these already. I'm just going to go straight to the bullet. So if you notice, the first bullet under number 2, we did ELPS training for math, science, and social studies. We wanted to make sure we didn't forget about the other core subjects areas. We did ELPS training at the high school in October. And this is kind of what you talked about, Erasmus. So we've done Texas ESL supplementary review courses. We've done them. So in the past, they used to just have the teachers do it on their own. What we did this year, no, we brought them here. We work with them here at the district office. And again, if they do pass, we do reimburse their test exams, and we reimburse their application to get their certificate. Again, I talked about that earlier, the special program symposium. And in the past, it's been called the Bilingual Symposium, but this year we partnered with special ed, so we changed the name. Again, there is reimbursement for exam and certification fees. This is something that's new this year, and with the support of with the encouragement with the superintendent, this is something we've done. So after the first benchmark, we looked at the data, how our ELs were doing compared to all the other students. And what we did, we kind of prioritized teachers. Since we only have 2 facilitators, we prioritized teachers, and based on the data, we identified about 6 elementary and 6 secondary teachers that our facilitators are supporting those teachers. And the cool thing, and the principal liked this, when we met with him, it wasn't like, here's your data, this is what you need to be doing. It was like, here's your data, how you guys address it, this is what we're doing, and so how can we help you? Or can your facilitators do this, and this? Or can your facilitator do that? Of course, some of it was PD, some of it was helping them with like classroom setup, different things like that. So that was the good thing about that. So we met with them about 2-3 weeks ago, and so that's something we're doing for the next several weeks. And then when the next benchmark comes up, we'll look at the data. We'll probably have to re-identify new teachers and then start supporting them. So that's something new that we're doing this year. And also, 2 weeks ago, the big Region 20 language conference, we sent 2 teachers per campus. Actually, that was last week, actually, and ongoing, like I said, we're doing ongoing shelter instructor throughout the school year. Other things we're doing, updates training, we again, the data meetings, and again, the conference again. And that pretty much wraps up my report. If you have any further questions?
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Any other questions from Mr. Abundes at this time?
No, Mrs. Perla, I actually just wanted to share in our weekly reports, as you see, I typically put up maybe a one-liner, but I also have shared that we have our principal cluster meetings, and it's just a small group of our principals that come together. Well, the same opportunity has happened with our special program. So as Mr. Abundes has mentioned, it's really truly to give each and every one of us, whether it's at Central or at the campus, the ownership behind the student outcomes of our students. So in having conversations with Mr. Abundes and the team, it further validates what we're doing, how we are reviewing the data and ensuring that we are making that progress, and we're providing the support that's needed to our principals, our instructional leaders at our campuses. So again, it's just really coming back. I think they've heard me, Julie Kill, the ownership of our data as a team, as a whole, and the importance behind that. And that happens in cabinet with our transportation director, our chief of staff, our finance department, and all the critical pieces that make this happen every day. And that's the important piece, to come back and be able to share additional data, comparable data, what we're doing every single day. So that's by far the number one task for us, alongside everything else. That is really where you just have the opportunity to embrace how our kids are doing and what is it that we can do to keep moving them forward.
Yes, and thank you. I'm very encouraged to hear that the teachers are getting the certifications and that you closed the gap on that. And so continue doing that work. And I'm excited to see what you bring with the dual language program in the future because so there's some really good research out there that shows it's one of the most powerful instructional strategies in most districts who implement true two-way dual language. Their English language learners outperform their monolingual students. And there's 40 years of research that shows that, so I'm very highly encouraged to see that in the future.
Yes, that was one of the slides I was going to show. And then the great thing about that, there's extra money now for dual language stuff. Not only you get more money for your ELs for dual language, plus you get money for your non-EL students as well. So it's definitely, Alex, I'll present it next month to you guys.
So then when we get this, and said, all right, sir, so we'll get going. Thank you, Mr. Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Thank you for the presentation. The last item on the agenda is a presentation, the Price Elementary Aquaponics Project. Mr. Flores has asked to place this on the agenda. Ms. Sandel.
Yes, Ms. Castillo is here alongside with her team, and we're so excited because in having a conversation with Mr. Flores, and I don't want to steal his thunder either, but the opportunity to truly make an example of what could potentially happen with our clubs and our campuses. We're hoping that we can just have some comments after the presentation, but really taking the time to highlight and really stemming from Mr. Flores attending one of the cafecitos there and just seeing all the great things that were happening there as well. So we welcome Ms. Castillo, Ms. Prada. I'm not sure if Mr. Flores is going to speak first or before. Yes, thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, Board of Trustees, and Mrs. Sendejo. So I'm Ms. Castillo, the principal at Price Elementary, and I brought with me my special ed teacher, Miguel Quintanilla, which is like the force behind all of this. This would not be possible without him. He's like just such a great loving man for our students. So you ask yourself, I'm not sure a lot of you know, what is aquaponics? You know? So we were like, what is aquaponics? So we're gonna go through here, and we're gonna talk about aquaponics. But first of all, before we show you, we want to talk about how this all started. So looking at the data for our special ed kids, Mr. Q started looking, and we both looked together and we're like, something's going on, they're not getting it, we've got to find a different way for them to learn because, well, I mean, we don't believe in drill and kill, but we want to make it fun. We want it to go with our values, our core beliefs here for South San. So it started last year by just looking at the STAR scores, and then I'll go on to show you some of the things we did. And then a former counselor came, she's a former counselor for our Price, but she brought in the United Nations Sustainable Goals. So we started practicing the goals, and then we formed the World Changers Club, and that's one of our clubs. We had 30 students last year, and this year we're up to 70 students. The kids have gotten excited, the teachers have gotten excited. Like I said, teachers receive training on sustainability. Also, we continue to enrich our sustainability, our project-based learning. And I don't know if you ever hear like commercials or different things now. Everything's about sustainability, the global awareness. So on the screen, Mr. Q looked up the science vocabulary because they have to take the science test in 5th grade. And we started seeing words that kids are not exposed to. So adapt, ecosystem, survival. These are a lot of the words that 5th graders have to know. Let's see, we have decay, community, ecosystem, environment. So how do we teach the kids so they will understand and be able to pass the STAR test? So I'm going to show you the community, the sustainable goals. So there's 17 sustainable goals, okay? And our goal was for our kids, no poverty, zero hunger. Those are the first two. And then we also do practice, we practice all of them. But we have a recycling, student council does recycling with the school. So our kids were excited and they didn't want our community to be hungry. They wanted some way to help our community. So we decided, okay, we wanted to grow things. We did research, looked at what they offer at the sustainable goals, and we found out about aquaponics. So what has aquaponics done to help in other projects. Before I show you what it consists of, it's involving all students in our school, okay? We've been having student-led teaching going on with Mr. Q showing like 5th graders, and they're showing the 3rd and 4th graders. And it also helps with our behavior. So when kids are like, okay, if you can do this, this, and this, we'll let you go feed the fish. We'll let you go water the plants. So it's been a big help in our behavior, the restorative discipline. And then we talk about college and career readiness. So I think a lot of us, the 21st century learners, we always think about technology. But really, when you look at college and career readiness, there are themes to this. There's global awareness, which the Sustainable Goals hit. There's healthy literacy, environmental literacy. And so citizens of the world understand the issues of all global scale. Okay, they teach a lot of this in the eastern coast of the United States. And we thought, well, if it's, the STAR tests are made by companies that are on the eastern coast. So we thought this will help our kids get better. They see this vocabulary, and they're able to do things and understand global awareness. It also is, like I said, PBL, project-based learning, hands-on learning. Our kids are getting dirty, they're in the dirt, they're in the water, they're feeding the fish, they're cleaning the tanks. So they're having fun. That's what we want, fun learning, right? Real-world learning for T-tests for teachers, because that's part of their evaluation. So to get distinguished, are they doing real-world learning with the kids? Can they translate what they learned on paper and pencil to real world, or real world to paper and pencil, vice versa? Also, we've been able to bring parents and community together. We've had parents donate time, projects to us, we had a parent donate a pond, just brought us a little bit closer to the community. And then we've had guest speakers and partnerships, which we're excited because that's what we're aiming for here at South San. We have Musical Sprouts, and through Musical Sprouts, they were like, hey, we know someone that has these tanks, and we were able to get more things to help our aquaponics. We've had Moses West, a guest speaker, which he invented the water machine that our kids got to meet. He invented the water machine for Flint, Michigan, and Puerto Rico when they had the hurricane. So those kind of people, those things have happened just with us having aquaponics and practicing our sustainable goals. So I want to show here inside our aquaponics unit. This is inside Mr. Q's room. If you go into his room, it looks like the science lab. Go ahead, Scott. So if you look here, we have lettuce right up here, and the cafeteria ladies gave us from the bottom part. Mr. Q stuck it in there and it's starting to grow. This is lettuce from seeds. There's lettuce here, you can see the little core, and it's growing up through here. These tubes go down into this water tank where we have our fish. Okay? And we have our fish underneath. You can see some of the things, living things that are helping with our vegetables that are growing. They're pretty cute. We didn't name them, and I know Sergeant Dorsey likes to see the fish, and I said, stay away from our fish. Okay, thank you, Scott. So I'm going to have Mr. Q explain some more here. You kind of get a better idea of what we're doing for our kids at Price.
So this is okay. Well, thank you so much for taking a few extra minutes. I know it's late, and thank you so much. But we decided to, like Ms. Castillo said, when we looked at the STAR test and looking at the experience, a lot of our kids are really, the lack of exposure to the vocabulary that's being used and the elements that are being tested, and it's something that we take for granted even when we say organisms. They don't consider like a horse or a cow an organism, so they don't pick that answer on the test. They pick something else because they don't see that as an organism. So part of it was to integrate that vocabulary and the learning. A lot of the kids that we have too are disadvantaged, so they don't have the opportunities to get certain fruits or vegetables from the store. So I introduced new fruits and vegetables to them. I brought dragon fruits into the classroom. You know, we cut them up, we taste them, we eat them. And of course now I get seeds every day. Somebody brings me new seeds. Here, we ate this. Here's the seed. So okay, let's try it. So they're learning about that. So in the process, we discussed the process of the seed. We discussed the tree cycle. We discussed how fruit is produced and how it is harvested. So when I use that vocabulary, it's different for them, and they haven't heard this. So the first one that we have there is the card on the left. That was our original aquaponics that we started. So we did a little model with the kids. So we connected the pipes, and so all the students have come through my classroom, whether it's the pre-K classrooms or the 5th grade students that come into the classroom. A lot of them will first hear me say that the fish pee and poo, and so then we get a lot of giggles and stuff, and so that's their first understanding of what's going on with the fish. But as I talk to the 5th graders, and then they pass that information on to the other students, it becomes a conversation about the nitrogen cycle, and which when they get to middle school, this is where they really start getting hit with that. So they will already have an advantage over other students who have not been exposed to anything like this. So that was our first one, and it's in indoor aquaponics, so we have a couple of goldfish in there. Now the middle one is the outdoor aquaponics unit that we have, and our PTA was generous enough to buy that for us. And in that tank, we do have some other fish, and I think we'll play the video in there. And so we do have some tilapia fish in there, and we do have some goldfish that are about 1 foot long. So, and the reason that we recently bought a little camera, and it's a little, it's not a GoPro, it's a knockoff of a GoPro, but it does exactly the same job. But this way, I can take video, the kids can take video, and we can send the video out to the school, and the teachers can have those conversations with their classes, and they can see what's inside. And that sparks a lot of interest, and like Ms. Castillo said, we started with a club of 30 students, and now we're up to 70, and we keep getting new applications, and we don't turn anybody away. So, but also the other thing is that on our 5th graders, we have a total of about 70 5th graders.
Yes.
We have 70 5th graders in our school, and 35 of those come to me every Wednesday, because I work with them on Wednesday specifically for an hour and a half, so 35 of those 70 students. So that says a lot for how much interest and how much they want to take part of developing themselves and also helping our community. And so that's the second tank. In the third tank, we do, in the third picture there, we have some students who have gone out to look at the fish and feed the fish, but also being able to harvest some of the lettuce that was growing there. Okay. All right, so this is outside our aquaponics, and again, we took a video of the fish so that the kids could see and everybody else could see and understand what was going on outside. I know some of those are ready for like a fish fry.
Sergeant Dorsey.
We keep the tank in a locked location because we don't want people to come in and take our fish one day or vegetables that we're growing out there. But so what we're doing here is that, again, we're providing this service to our students, and we're exposing them to so many things. But in the process of having those fish there, again, it's the nitrogen cycle to another level here now, where if we want to talk about sustainability, this would be a unit that would be totally sustainable because you have your food there, you have your vegetables and stuff that's being produced, so you can eat and continue it to grow. We also had an incident where we knew it was going to get cold the last couple of weeks, and so we did receive a hard freeze. And so in the process of that, we developed, under aquaponics, you can see we have some PVC pipe that's kind of hooped over there. And then in the middle pictures, we covered it with plastic. So in essence, we replicated a greenhouse. And what was really interesting about this, and we talk to the students all the time about a greenhouse. We talk to them about the greenhouse effect. We talked about the water cycle and condensation, but they have no connection to it. They'll learn the vocabulary because they know you have to learn it. But by doing this, they're able to physically go out there and see, oh, I see the condensation building up on, yeah, that's exactly what we wanted you to see and understand it, because now they own that. They know that this is what they've done. And so here we have a couple of, and I primarily work with the special ed students, so here are some of our students that I work with. But like I said, on Wednesdays, I work with the general ed and anybody else, bilingual. All the kids come to me. We don't separate anybody. They're all just included in there. And the great thing is that here we're measuring out, because we were trying to figure out how to cover the whole area so we could have like a greenhouse. And I think Dr. Sandejo, you came by the one day we were trying to draw it out on paper, because as we took the measurements, the kids couldn't visually see the 3D effect of how the four walls are related. They couldn't visually see that on paper, and one of the kids said, our brains aren't built for this. You know? But yet, when they take the STAR test, and when we're testing them on three-dimensional shapes and figures and asking them to figure out the area or the volume of a shape, they don't know because they haven't experienced it. And like Ms. Castillo said, we have fish tanks. I have, I don't know, maybe 10 fish tanks in the classroom. And so I will give the students the formula to calculate the volume of them so we can figure out how many gallons are there. So the students have participated in it. And so this is what we've done. And like I said, we were trying to measure out how can we do this at a bigger scale, because even though we covered it, we made a little makeshift door there. And again, all of this stuff is through donations. So we appreciate the donations, and it's great when the community donates, but sometimes you have little odds and ends, like you don't have enough to do everything that you need. So the next one. So we started looking at some greenhouses that could help us also continue. What we want to be able to do is, again, our goal is to have zero hunger. We know our kids are hungry at school. We know they come to school without food, and they go home sometimes not knowing if they have something at home. So our goal is to grow more produce as much as we can and give it back to the community and let the students take it home. So if we, like this summer, we had 2 tomato plants outside. One didn't survive, but the 2 that were out there, they were the Goliath tomatoes, and they produced over 150 tomatoes. So that was amazing, but it was over the summer. And so if we were to have a greenhouse, we can grow more things, and we don't have to wait till the spring to be able to say, here's our produce. This is what the seeds that you planted, now they're growing. And we also had melons that grew, and we were just giving them away left and right because we had so many. But that's the whole point, is we want the students to say, I grew this. But we're also teaching them a skill. I teach them a skill like, you know, maybe not all of you are going to go to college, but I show them, like, look, on Facebook or OfferUp, you see, people are selling little trees. And you guys are, I'm teaching you guys how to grow them, so you can tell your parents, look, Mom and Dad, we can sell a tree, you get $15. You know, so I'm trying to teach them a skill, and then we incorporate things like the HB flyer to say, you know, how much does a fruit cost and things like that, so we can also incorporate it as real life math. So that's how I kind of target everything. So we looked at a couple of different models of greenhouses, and this one is a larger one. It's 8 by 20. So, but it's large enough because, like I said, we want all our school to be included. And if we had a large greenhouse like this, the students could come in, look at our aquaponics, look at our plants, and the teachers could literally have a living science lab right there. Because we know our students are not going to go to the botanical gardens. They don't have those experiences. They're not going to have those experiences, but they can here, and they can see everything firsthand, and everybody can take part of this. And then we looked at a smaller unit. This would be a smaller greenhouse. It's an 8 by 16. We would still be able to fit some of the things in there that we want to do, because we have 1 aquaponics unit, but our goal is to have 3 aquaponics units so that we have plenty of produce and fish in there. And so this one will be a little bit smaller, so, you know, I guess we're limited to having the entire class come in. And again, you know how that goes, if you're not supervising the whole class, some of them are doing something else outside. So we would like to have everybody included where the teacher can supervise it. But at the same time, we realize that, you know, money is always a concern. So we looked at like the cheapest model that we would be happy with. And this is one of those, it's a 10 by 12, so it's quite a bit smaller. It would fit one aquaponics unit in here, maybe two. But then, you know, kids would have to take turns going in and out of there. So we just wanted to share this with you and let you know we're trying to do some great things at Price. And again, at the same time, I want to thank you again for kind of listening to us and taking a few minutes extra. Man, just a couple more things.
Yeah. So there's so many possibilities with our aquaponics unit. We want to save our community. We want to give fresh fruits and vegetables to our kids. We want them to be 21st learners. Sustainability is a big thing. I did bring, they look a little wilted because we put them in the refrigerator, but they were so fresh yesterday. So we are still growing jalapenos. And if you look at the picture up there, those are the tomatoes that the kids grew, just from 2 plants. And our aquaponics unit, we produced 2 strawberries, but those are some of the first tomatoes. So if we had a greenhouse, we could have more. Like we're only limited to a little square, but we got this beautiful radish.
This was from our aquaponics.
Our fish did a great job fertilizing all of this. And then we did get some beets. Wow. So we're limited. We have beets, but our jalapenos we would give the kids in summer school. Some tomatoes in a baggie and a couple of jalapenos they could take home and sauce. So we're very excited. We appreciate you listening to us. And like I said, our kids are excited. We want to make learning fun. We have seen on our scores, we're anxious about this year too to see with our kids. Yeah, last year we just started. We're getting a little bit stronger this year. We want to go full steam. Mr. Q has been amazing. The teachers have been amazing. Kids have been amazing. If you look at that lettuce, it was so fresh. The leaves were so big. You know, we just want to produce more. So our same for our goal of World Changers are, you must be the change you wish to see in the world. And that's what our students are doing. Thank you.
Mr. Flores, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Madam President. Okay, so I wish there was a bigger audience to have seen this. Okay, but Ms. Castillo, Mr. Q, thank you for an awesome presentation. I had a chance to see this. I'll try to go to 3 minutes and give everybody, and then I'll have something else to say. But I attended the Halloween costume parade. And so, you know, I enjoy going to some of the events, seeing the kids, seeing the interaction with the parents and the staff. And so upon exiting, maybe I was looking at a board, and then they saw that maybe I was taking interest, and they said, "Have you seen our aquaponics?" And I'm like, "I've seen the movie Aquaman." You know, but I was like, "Okay, now what is it about?" And so she showed me this big poster, and I'm seeing all these, you know, sustainable goals, and I'm like, "Okay, what's going on?" So they show me this room full of a project going on, you know, and I'm a produce salesman. So I have particular interest in what's happening here. We can make a lot of money. But besides the point, I see this. So I see this, and it didn't stop, and it kept going, and they were explaining, and to me there was such a complex system going on that I could not understand quite yet or fathom, but they were explaining how their 5th graders and 3rd graders and their special needs especially can grasp this complexity and understand it and teach it and explain it. And so the zeal and excitement that the staff had, like Ms. Castillo and Mr. Q, you know, it's cold outside. They're like, "Oh, let's go look at this." And I'm like, "Okay, it's 40, but let's go." And so they showed me the whole thing, and I was impacted. So impacted that I felt that, it needed to be heard, it needed to be put out there, it needs to be addressed. And to see the kids, to see, I guess it's an AC, indoor AC and water filtering into this big, trash can thing. And they're saying, yeah, we use it in the water for the fish. You want to go see the fish? I'm like, I see the fish and I'm short of 2 breads and eating one. But it was awesome and it was so grand. And so I couldn't stop thinking about it. And then I think about the club that they are, which is World Changers. And I said, they started by changing. It started by the staff changing the mindset and saying, what can we do to change these kids, to help them? They found a way, and now they're impacting not just their friends, or staff with tomatoes and things like that, but they're impacting the community because they already brought in working together, family, right? The theme, I probably always mention that we're a family, but they're exhibiting family. And then to see like, hey, we have a bigger deal that we want to do, and that is world changing. And so I can see why they have that model. But if anybody wants to speak, say something, I have something to say.
Thank you, Ms. Alderete.
I remember it was maybe 3 years ago when our CTE programs were in a competition and they did amazing. They made this castle, and in fact, I believe they beat out actual engineers, like adults, companies, at the Botanical Gardens. Our kids and our educators, our teachers over there in those programs are amazingly talented and can do things that we just, if you go visit, you'd be like, wow, kids do this. Have we thought about asking those programs? Because you're saying that you want to bring in everybody, you want this to grow. Bringing in that program and asking them to build that greenhouse, because I truly believe in those programs and that they can do it. If you saw what I saw, what they built, wow, you would have thought that these were people who've been doing it a lifetime. So is that something that y'all have looked into?
Actually, yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, so last year we did partner up with Ms. Witherell at the high school. And so we did bring the high school students over to our campus, and we worked on several projects together where their students were mentoring. And we couldn't put all the pictures here and stuff, but we did receive a lot of publicity last year in the newspaper, in the news, and a lot of that was captured where our high school students were working with our elementary students. And we did talk about the greenhouse last year. But the thing is that materials and the budget, we just don't have the resources.
If
that
we could
was
get,
an obstacle.
if we could get the donations for what you need, would they be able to do it? Would you guys be willing to let them do it if the donations came in for that?
Yes, of course. That's something. Yeah.
What bigger story could we tell than our students actually made it? That'd be amazing.
Did I see what was the price of that greenhouse?
I think it was
2,200? We'll buy it. I got shamed a little bit by the scholarship guys. We haven't done anything this year. I kind of think that just in terms of the initiative that we're doing on the district, the campuses need to find their own identity. This is a process of that. We're more than happy to support it.
Yesterday to the high school, some of the 5th graders, and they saw an aquaponics unit. Ms. Witherell has something, not to the extent like ours, but they're like, oh, that's an aquaponics unit. So they're able to identify and know that when they go to high school, they'll see that. We would like for them to be like junior high to have that path, but they know that that's there at the high school for them as FFA.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Mr. Cole.
you, Mr. O'Hanlon, and by the way, it will be in the minutes. Thank you. I think that concludes our presentations. Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. The time is 10:54. I'm sorry, 9:54.